If you are 55 years old with $150,000 in your 401k, you are technically ahead of the average American your age. But here is the problem. The average 55-year-old will run out of money 9 years into retirement. Not because they spent too much, because they started too late. And now you are in a race against a clock that does not care about your good intentions. This is not a motivational speech. This is math. And the math says you have roughly 10 years left to turn $150,000 into something that can actually support you for 20 or 30 years. The good news? The IRS gives you a weapon most people do not know exists. It is called the catch-up contribution. And if you are 50 or older, you can add an extra $8,000 per year to your 401k on top of the normal limit. That is $23,000 plus $8,000, $31,000 total in 20 to 26. Before we go further, this is educational content only. I am not a financial advisor. I do not know your specific situation. Always consult a licensed professional before making investment decisions. Now let me show you why this $8,000 rule is not just a tax trick. It is your last real shot at fixing a decade of undersaving, and why waiting even 2 more years could cost you more than $100,000 in retirement income. Here is what most people miss. That extra $8,000 per year is not just $8,000. It is $8,000 that grows tax-deferred for 10 years. If you invested in a diversified portfolio that averages 7% annual returns, which is below the historical stock market average, that single year's catch-up contribution becomes nearly $16,000 by age 65. Now multiply that by 10 years. You are not adding $80,000. You are adding closer to $120,000 to your nest egg. But here is the part that keeps me up at night. Most 55-year-olds do not use this rule. Only 15% of eligible workers max out their catch-up contributions. Why? Because they look at their paycheck and think, I cannot afford to lose $8,000 a year. But they are asking the wrong question. The real question is, can you afford to retire on $150,000? Let me give you the brutal math. The old rule of thumb said you could safely withdraw 4% per year from your retirement savings. 4% of $150,000 is $6,000 per year. That is $500 per month. Add Social Security. Maybe you get to $2,000 total. Now try paying for housing, health care, food, and property taxes on $2,000 a month. And remember, health care costs are exploding. The average 65-year-old couple will spend over $300,000 on medical expenses in retirement. So the $8,000 catch-up is not optional. It is mandatory if you want to avoid eating cat food at 75. But even if you max out the catch-up contributions, there is a second danger most people ignore until it is too late. And this one is invisible until the day you retire. It is called sequence of returns risk. And it is the reason 2 people with the exact same nest egg can have completely different retirements. Here is how it works. Imagine a retiree in 2008 with $300,000. The market crashes 40% in year 1. They are down to $180,000, but they still need to withdraw money to live, so they pull out $20,000. Now they are at $160,000. When the market recovers, they are recovering from $160,000, not $300,000. They never catch up. That is sequence risk. And it does not matter if the market averages 7% over 30 years. If you get unlucky in years 1 through 5 of retirement, you are cooked. This is why the catch-up strategy is not just about adding money. It is about buying time. Every extra dollar you add now is a dollar you do not have to withdraw during a market crash later. It is a buffer, a cushion, a difference between running out of money at 78 and making it to 90. Now let me show you what happens if you actually implement this strategy versus doing nothing. Two people, both 55, both have $150,000 today. Person A continues contributing the bare minimum to get the employer match, maybe 6% of their $80,000 salary. That is roughly $5,000 per year. Person B goes all in on the catch-up. They contribute the full $31,000 annually. 10 years later, at age 65, Person A has around $280,000. Sounds decent, right? But Person B has close to $520,000. That is a $240,000 gap. And when you apply the 4% rule, Person A can withdraw $11,000 per year. Person B can withdraw $21,000 per year. That is an extra $10,000 every year for the rest of their life. That is the difference between struggling and stability. But here is where it gets even more critical. Person A will likely run out of money by age 82 if they live a normal lifespan and face average healthcare costs. Person B has enough to make it past 90, and if Person B is smart and delays Social Security until age 70, they might never touch the principal at all. They live off Social Security plus the 4% withdrawals and leave money to their kids. Same starting point, same market returns. The only difference is the $8,000 catch-up contribution. That is the power of this rule. Now I know what you are thinking. $8,000 a year is a lot of money. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. How are you supposed to find an extra $666 per month? And that is a fair question. But let me reframe it. You are not finding $666. You are protecting $21,000 per year in retirement, because that is what you are giving up by not acting now. Start by cutting the obvious waste. The average American household spends over $200 per month on subscriptions they barely use. Streaming services, gym memberships, software they signed up for and forgot about. Cancel them. That is $2,400 right. Next, look at your car. If you are making payments on a vehicle worth more than $30,000, you are financing someone else's retirement, not yours. Downgrade. Trade it in for something reliable but cheaper. That could free up $300 to $400 per month. Then look at dining out. The average American over 50 spends nearly $300 per month eating at restaurants. Cut that in half. Cook at home 4 extra nights per week. You just found another $150. Add it all up. Subscriptions, car payment reduction, dining out. You are at $550 to $650 per month. You are almost there. The last $100? Skip one vacation. Delay one home improvement project. Sell the stuff in your garage you have not touched in 5 years. I am not saying live like a monk. I am saying make a trade. Trade comfort today for security tomorrow. Because in 10 years, you will not remember the Netflix shows you skipped or the dinners you cooked at home. But you will remember whether you have enough money to keep your house. And here is the part most financial advisors will not tell you. The catch-up contribution is not just about the money you add. It is about the taxes you avoid. Every dollar you put into a traditional 401k reduces your taxable income today. If you are in the 22% tax bracket and you contribute the full $31,000, you just saved nearly $7,000 in federal taxes. That is $7,000 the IRS does not take. And if you are in a state with income tax, add another 3 to 5%. You could be saving close to $8,500 in total taxes. Now take that tax savings and do something smart with it. Do not blow it on a new TV. Consider putting it into a Roth IRA, or use it to pay down high-interest debt. Credit card debt at 20% interest is a cancer on your retirement plan. Every dollar you owe at 20% is a dollar that needs to earn 20% just to break even. That is impossible. Kill the debt first, and supercharge the retirement contributions. But let me give you the dark side of this strategy. Because there is one scenario where maxing out your 401k catch-up contributions is the wrong move. And that is if you have no emergency fund. If you are living so close to the edge that one car repair or one medical bill sends you into credit card debt, do not max out the 401k yet. Build a $10,000 emergency fund first. Because if you lock all your money into a 401k and then need cash, you will be forced to take an early withdrawal. And that comes with a 10% penalty plus income taxes. You could lose 30 to 40% of the money you just saved. That is insane. So the order of operations is this. Step 1. Contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. Step 2. Build a $10,000 emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Step 3. Pay off high-interest debt. Anything above 8% interest has to go. Step 4. Now you max out the catch-up contributions. This is the sequence that protects you from self-destructing. And once you have the contributions flowing, you need to make sure the money is working as hard as you are. Because it does not matter if you contribute $31,000 per year if it is sitting in a money market fund earning 2%. At 55, you still have a 30-year time horizon. You will live into your 80s statistically. That means you need growth. You need stocks. But you also need protection. You cannot afford to lose 40% of your money at age 64 like people did in 2008. A reasonable allocation at 55 is roughly 60% stocks and 40% bonds. The stocks give you growth. The bonds give you stability. And as you get closer to retirement, you shift more into bonds. By age 64, maybe you're at 50 to 50. By age 70, maybe 40% stocks, 60% bonds. The key is you are de-risking slowly, not all at once. Because if you go 100% bonds at age 60, inflation will eat you alive over the next 30 years. Here is the final piece: Social Security. If you can delay taking Social Security until age 70, you increase your benefit by 24% compared to taking it at 67. And compared to age 62, you increase it by 76%. That is not a typo. Delaying from 62 to 70 nearly doubles your monthly check. For someone who would get $2,000 per month at 67, that becomes $2,500 at 70. Over a 20-year retirement, that is an extra $120,000 in total benefits. But delaying Social Security only works if you have money to live on between 65 and 70. And that is where the catch-up contributions save you. If you build your 401k to $500,000 by age 65, you can safely withdraw $20,000 per year to bridge the gap until age 70. Then Social Security kicks in at the maximum amount, and you reduce your 401k withdrawals. You are using your retirement savings as a bridge, not as your primary income source. That is how you make the money last. Here is the cold reality. If you are 55 with $150,000, you are not behind because you were lazy. You are behind because life happened. Medical bills, divorces, kids' college, job losses. The system is not designed for you to succeed. But the math does not care about fairness. It only cares about inputs and time. The $8,000 catch-up rule is your chance to cheat the math, to add 10 years of compounding that you lost in your 30s or 40s. But only if you act now, because at 57 or 58, you will wish you had started today. And at 65, you will either thank yourself or hate yourself for the decision you make right now. This is not about getting rich. It is about not being poor when you are too old to fix it.